Hey Rick, I got a new thing for your store, man. What? It's like some grocery store mindset, because you got no water in here, man. You should put like a water cooler right back by the violins. But it's like that grocery store mentality where you put all the produce and like the eggs and stuff in the back, makes them walk through the entire store, and then they'll hit the third violin. People got the attention of a goldfish these days. So like the third violin, they'll be like, "What was I in here for? Oh, look, a violin." And that's when you snatch them, and you'd be like, "Hey, I recently got the system under contract." And he does violin lessons.
What did Rick shave with this morning?
What did he do?
I'll have to edit that out.
Rick shaving? Are we live? Are we going? Do I sound great? Do they sound great?
Of course, always.
Jim, you sound great?
We're here.
You sounded great, but
I feel good.
I tore apart your set here so that you could talk to me. Mm-hmm. So it's good that you sound great. How the backup vocals doing back there? That's perfect. That's perfect. That's a little political to start off the show. But we're doing great. So, Jim Stairs.
Oh, you have real questions.
The Squish Mud Band.
Inquiring minds.
Squishy mud.
Don't ask me where the name come from.
Where did it come from?
Where did the name come from?
Can't tell you.
You can't tell it? Well, hey, I'm here to ask all the hard questions, man. The way I finessed into this show here is, I feel like there's some value that could be provided here, It's, a show from a rising artist, to rising artists, for rising artists. I want to pick the minds of you guys, man.
There's 3 more years on the gag order before he can answer that question.
Did you say Mayan?
Mayan years. That's
No,
like
I want
300.
to hear your secrets. I want to hear why you say what you say, because what you say is very important. That's there's a little undertone of sales in it. You want to say things that people will listen to. Mm-hmm. So if I can't get you to say the reason why you named your band the way you named your band, then why you call this guy Taco?
I call him Mike.
He's French.
You call him Mike?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you call him that earlier.
We're being difficult already.
See, this is gonna be like a CIA interview here. I'm gonna have
The taco came way before I met Mike.
Really?
Yep.
I'm old.
Mike, he's much older
That's
than he
not-
looks.
Mike has to do with this.
We're not going to start with that. You guys are rising artists. I bet you guys are in the prime. You guys are in your golden age. You guys got your.
We're
You guys
having
know what
fun.
you're doing.
Crap, this is the
How long have you been doing it?
Playing in bands since 1980.
1980. So I hear the Squish Mud Band. That started around like 98, somewhere around there.
Yep.
How did that sort of become its own brand?
Yeah, well, let's see. Well, Rick came over to my house one day, and he said, "Wouldn't you like to play music?" So
I like where this is
I
going.
thought, well, Rick seems like a smart guy. So I started playing music, and so far it's gone very well.
Were you like looking at guitars? Or you just like a
Well, no.
hobby guitarist?
Okay, to be serious, yeah, I loved guitar since I first started playing guitar. First guitar I touched when I was as little as I can remember. I thought it was magical. A little acoustic guitar my grandma had upstairs, and I just loved it. And when I went to my grandma's house, I'd run up there and I'd just pluck the strings. And so then when I was about 12 or 13, my buddies started getting guitars, taking lessons. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Let me see that thing." And I could play their guitar and right away. I could make chords. And so I'm just a natural at playing guitar. And I've never practiced much, and I've never, I can learn by listening.
Yeah.
Like I can listen to a song on the radio and come home and pick it out. And I just love it. So I played when I was a kid and crazy. Had a lot of fun. Then when I had kids, I stopped playing. Mm-hmm. Played maybe 10 gigs a year because I had a family to raise. I had to work.
Gotcha.
And then Squishy Mud came along. My kids are getting close to teenagers now. Mm. So I start playing again. So I put a band together, and it was good, and we started playing. Started playing wherever we could. And,
I like it.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
So speaking to maybe, people in quarantine that, love music, love picking it up and playing it, and you guys can chime in as well, but, how did you guys go about, getting yourself out there and finding, a core group of guys to get together and start, getting your names out there, start doing shows, that sort of next level of, jamming out?
I'm really outgoing, and so for me, I can walk into a bar cold and just say, "Hi, I'm Jim, and I play guitar. I have a band, and I'm looking to play gigs." I just have a ability to talk to people easily, so I'm lucky. And also, I'm a natural leader, and so I've always played with many different people. I've played with maybe 100 different musicians in a paid situation, probably for sure. And like these guys are two of my favorites. We've played many, many gigs together, but I have other musicians I play with. So what I do is I throw a band together, and then I book the gigs, and then I throw a band together. Sometimes 2 or 3 days before the gig, I'll call Mike up and say, "Can you play Friday?" And so it used to drive my wife crazy because she'd say, "Who's playing with you on Friday?" I'd say, "Oh, I got to call around a little bit." But I have about 20 people who know all my material.
Okay.
And so not everybody does it that way. Some people rehearse and they do every word is practiced. But they might have gone farther down the road than I have too, because they've done more work to do the show. But I took the route of I'm going to be me, and I'm going to perform as me. Some people assume a persona, but for me, I'm not much at doing that. So I just am myself.
Yourself seems outgoing
Yep.
as itself.
I'm pretty, yeah, and so luckily and actually it's kind of an accident when you are successful, I've been reasonably successful. I can remember not so long ago when I would look at Velasquez and say, well, how do you get to play on that stage? Well, now I've played there for like 4 or 5 years. I play Tuesday nights there, and I do not take that for granted, that somehow I've moved into this slot.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting. It's a lot of fun.
I bet. For you guys back there, how do you fall into this guy's orbit? It sounds like he's pulling you guys in. How natural is that?
I played a lot with a lot of different bands for a while and got burnt out. And took a step away and was doing basically one gig. I was doing the Corey Stevens gig and then just letting everything else sit. And we decided we were going to look at buying a house, and we were going to dip our toe in the water and see what it was, see what it was going to take to do it. And 4 days later, we had signed a contract, and I needed to make some extra money. So I called Jim and a few other people. The first 4 months of the year, I did 4 gigs, and the second half of the year did about 76, and then 130 gigs the next year. So I'm my wife calls me a bass prostitute, but I play with Jim, play with a number of other people, and have fun and kind of bounce around and fill in where I can, learn from as many people as I can, and enjoy it. That variety is very cool. It's one thing that Mike does. He plays probably 3 times as much as the rest of us. The hardest working man I know.
Show business.
It's perfect.
So it's a lot of fun.
No, because I feel like I switch between both halves, where sometimes I feel like I'm my own man. I'll get passion, I'll go. I'm just starting my own thing, like front to end, and no one's stopping me. But then sometimes there's also, putting yourself in the right system to make sure that you're getting the reps and not leaving it all on yourself. So I'm very interested in that, of how coming from both of you. How do you network with guys like these, or getting yourself out there, finding that one person, mastering and then duplicating your network?
Fortunately, we've been around for enough years that we put the word out. We've got a pretty decent reputation, especially in this scene where we put the word out and people know we're looking for work. We get calls pretty frequently. So we're fortunate in that, Mike much more so than myself. But we're very lucky in that sense.
Yeah, well, I've known Mike for a long time, playing it because I've seen him play in other bands. And when I first wanted to focus on Minneapolis, St. Paul, I called Mike and said, Mike, I'm going to enter these competitions and stuff and do this stuff. And Mike said, okay, I'll do it, And so we entered Battle of the Bands stuff, and just you get your name out there any way you can. And Mike has toured, and he's been to Europe. And if you're playing at a festival, he's the guy to have behind you, because he totally comes up to the plate.
Hire us.
He's just always a professional. And the reason,
serious.
and I can play with who I want to, and so these guys are the best. Really, it's
Second best.
no,
Yeah.
we have no issues with anything. We show up and do our gig. Nobody. Have we ever had an argument about anything? Of course, there'd be a short one with Trent.
None with
you
witnesses.
just, we have a focus of the music, performing for the people, being professional, getting paid, and going home in one piece. And there's no really other bullshit involved.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what color you are or what your favorite fruit is or anything.
It's you.
Yeah, although Mike is my favorite fruit. It's you. Oh, that's good.
We kid.
We had a blast.
You need it.
You know, above and beyond the musical part, which is so cool, is these guys are both tremendous people at heart. They're people I love spending time with above and beyond. It got to the point where I do well with my day job at this and that. I don't need to gig for the money. I do it because I love it. And I can play with a lot of different people, but these are two of my favorite people to be around, period. So we'll do these things. I'd rather play a small place with these two and have fun and truly enjoy what we do and enjoy the music than I would making twice the money at a festival with a guy that's a pain in the butt to deal with. It's just, these guys make music fun.
Agree with everything except for the money part.
Well, no, I'll stick on that, man. Because there is a lot of people like me wanting to become an artist, and it's easy to say, hey, I'm in it for the money. I'm here to exploit that. How important is it? Because I know with what you guys do, I hear blues or rock, but how important is it to keep in that same niche? Do you guys specifically under Squish Mud Band, do you guys expand beyond that, or is it important to stick in a certain genre? Once you got a group together.
Well, if I play at a place that wants to hear rock and roll, I'll play more rock and roll based. I heard many years ago that Muddy Waters and these blues guys, they would play a rock and roll song if somebody wanted one. They would play what was on the radio if people wanted them to, because they were in business of being a musician too. So I'll play Mustang Sally. There's people who will have a heart attack over Mustang Sally, but I don't care. If somebody wants to hear Mustang Sally, I'm not too proud to play Mustang Sally.
Gotcha.
Or Brown Eyed Girl even on a certain night. But I have a music that I prefer, and I've been very lucky to be able to play what I like. See, that's another thing. It's a balance between. They say a country musician can make 4 or 5 times what I make playing new country, but I'm not a fan of that. So.
Stairway.
Well, Freebird is not new country, but
Stairway to Freebird.
yeah.
Well, I'm interested to hear the Upper Deck's opinion on this as well, on the subject of genre, and because you guys, I hear from this guy down here that you're getting passed around a lot, so you guys probably hit a lot more things.
yeah.
It's a little different for us because what he's doing is establishing a name and establishing a brand. So when you're trying to book a band, people are going to want to know what they're getting. With us, we can be chameleons. If Jim hires us one night, we can do the blues and the funk thing. The next night, Billy Ray Bob and the Sunshiners can hire us, and we can put our cowboy hats on and giddy up the whole night. It depends on who's hiring us and if it's a music that we want to do, or if, as a starving artist, I could pick and choose and play the music that I enjoy doing and want to do. Mike makes his living, and he pays the house, pays this, does all that stuff with music. So he's in a different position where he may have to take gigs that may not exactly what he wants to play all the time, but he's got such incredible talent and skill that he can play any of those at any time. He can get a call on the way to Ridgedale Center, and somebody say, "Hey, I need a drummer. Can you do this?" And Mike's like, "I got one of my 77 sets of drums in the car. I'll be right there." And he can nail it like he's been there forever. Believe it or not, he does talk some too.
And I love him too.
So we're in a neat position where we can be a little more well-rounded.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here, someone focus in on my cards, man. So I'd heard you mention Walebski's. How's your 2020 been? Because are these jams still going on? I hear you guys I know specifically you're hosting jams in a couple other locations as well. Is quarantine affecting that at all, or how's the what is the state of those jams?
Yeah, they're done until we get the bars open again. So,
Really?
but then we'll go right back at it.
Gotcha. So take me through that process. I assume that's probably March, April of 2020 for you. You had to shut those down, and how was the transition to that?
they reopened again. So see, we were open again here in October, right? October, September. We went for a couple of months. Yeah, and Wisconsin's still going too. Yes.
I know that.
I've seen Charlie Bound and Lucy with the football.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
great analogy for what we're dealing with.
No, I'm feeling that a little bit with the pro wrestling circuit as well.
Yeah.
But
So we're just waiting, and people are hungry to come. So we were packing them in both Walebski's, and I'm doing another one in Bloomington that was packing them in too.
gotcha. Is that real? How loosey goosey is that? Do you have a lineup set in advance? Do people have to reach out to be a part of the jams, or is it just a matter of just showing up, getting your name out there?
Walebski's is like 4 people in charge. Alan Kirk is the top dog, and then George Moyer, and then me and whoever else is there. Kind of, we all hand off control when it suits us.
Okay.
And we're all friends with Rich, the owner, so we all deal with him too. And that's a set deal. But Alan Kirk is the law. He's the top guy.
Gotcha.
Used to be John Lindbergh's thing, and he's passed away. And my other jams, I've got Mike working at one of them. And I'm flexible.
Sundays. Matter of fact, we were supposed to be there today.
We were supposed to be there, yeah.
Oh, you ditched for this? I'm so proud.
No, it's just not, it's not going.
It's just not going.
It's not going.
Well, we persist over here.
Till COVID's over.
True that. True that. What is your mindset heading into 2021 and on the patience spectrum of that? Are you trying to kind of work with COVID, or really just work with COVID? Such a weird way to put it. But are you trying to like persist in the name, putting on masks and play, or are you not afraid to, I guess, look after the safety? Where's your balance on that?
Well, for me, I'm going to play because my quality of life is important to me. But I also, when I load in, I wear a mask. I don't want to injure anybody else. I don't want to make other people uncomfortable. But personally, once I get in, the guidelines allow me to take my mask off and sing in a microphone. And I'm not going to slow down in playing. I would go right back to 5 to 6 gigs a week tomorrow if I could. So I love it.
I like it.
And so would you guys. No, well, I know you're kind of busy. You're busy these days.
Everyone's got different opinions on that. I don't want to go deep into it, but I told them that any gigs that you got to go in and wear a mask, find someone else. I don't have time. I'm not bowing down. I'm not this and that. But
I mean,
everyone's got an opinion. And
seeing the lips
you
move
move
is
on.
important. I mean, from a visual standpoint, I guess in my
If you're a
opinion,
lip reader.
I guess the way I'll leave this is, the way we started this, where we had Chavo running all over like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to set up all this stuff in time. I personally just kind of hid in the corner. I picked up one of these books in the corner here of just Minnesota bands just coming up through the scene. Started 1950s, had a whole chapter dedicated to Bob Dylan and stuff. But talking to 3 guys who I assume are all Minnesota based. What's your personal perspective of musical history growing up in Minnesota, around the area, and I guess what are your main inspirations that brought you here today and have you playing music?
I want you guys start. What do you say?
We've had so many incredible players come through here. I mean, obviously Prince and some of the ones that most people know so well, but there's a lot of like the Peterson family are just incredible. There's so many players in the cities area that have gone on to be very successful sidemen. We got guys, bass players in town, like you had talked about, John Lindbergh, tremendous bass player, very inspirational. George Moy, another great player, love listening to him. inspirational. Charles Fletcher, another bass player, spectacular. Jimmy Anton. These guys were all huge influences on what I do. I wouldn't blame any of my shortcomings on listening to them, so, but I hear what they do, and that kind of life that they put into their playing inspires me to try and reach up to that level. But there's so many guitar players, keyboard players, and that have come through the ranks, and there's such a vibrant music scene, and has been for so long, that it allows players of that caliber to stay here longer and really develop before they move on to bigger scenes and do that. So it's a really cool deal, and there's so many bands that most people didn't know about. There's a group that I got brought in to do reunion stuff, Whiskey River Band. I wasn't familiar with who they were, but they toured coast to coast in the late 70s, early 80s, were a pretty good sized deal. So when they called me, or the drummer called me, asked me if I wanted to help him out, I said, "What's a Whiskey River?" And he kind of chuckled and said, "You know what? If you want help, if you're in, asking me, I'm there for you." And that was a fun gig, and it turns out we did big shows with Sarah Evans and Dierks Bentley and stuff like that. So it was a way bigger deal than I ever anticipated. But you get into around the right people, and then you naturally start moving in steps. And sometimes it's talent, sometimes it's talent mixed with personality. There's so many things that are there, but the opportunities that are in the cities because of the people that are here is incredible.
Yep. And if I could say one thing too, when I started at the bar scene here, it was 1980, and you had Prince in the bars, and you had punk rock exploding, and then you had Mojo Buford playing at all the venues in town. So you had this real mixture. It was real open to a lot of different styles. And we had the Replacements, I'm a big fan of the Replacements, and there's just a lot of good raw music. So this town has always been good for music. I always thought it was one of the best, just for a breeding ground for lots of music. And I know I've been to other cities where they said Minneapolis really has a music scene always,
This is
right?
the last place that has a music scene. Last biggie.
What do you mean by that?
Like New York or LA, or the bands have to play to pay, play. And here you have different genres, because we have you be in a bar band, play at a casino. You have all these different, but that's running out. I was lucky enough to be through the whole scene since the 70s. I've been lucky. I know most of these guys, and do the good stuff, do the bad stuff, just the stuff. And then still get to do it. It's not like something you just turn off. We do this because we like to do this. We don't know anything else. What are you going to do? And like it or not, you're going to play music. Most of the people around us want to be musicians or something to do with music because they love it, they breathe it, they do it.
Absolutely.
And that's why we do this all the time.
Absolutely. Well, Jim, Trent, Mike, I appreciate your perspectives on that, because you hit it on the head, man. There's people watching this that are hungry. They love music, and they're going to do it. I really hope I can tease something out of you guys that they can use to get themselves out there and get to that next level. Appreciate you guys doing it. Systemaniacs, I see you again. Jim Sayers. Squish
Hi,
Mud
Mom.
Band. You got it.
Hi, Mom.
What do we expected?
Are we going to mention Pika, though? She's sitting right there.
Yeah, Pika is right
the
there.
reason that all of this is going on.
Yeah, well, Pika is the reason this is all going on.
Hey, we got enough for a wave.
Part of the
Yeah,
reason,
we got-
and of course.
But we got Rick on the front lines here. I get too caught up yelling at him, but he deserves it.
Yes.
So
What, you get yelled at?
maybe. Yeah, you yell at me too, man.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, this is.
Tell him to get the name of the band right, or I'm going to show him some wrestling moves.
There you go. That's right.
Squishy.
The Squishy Mud Band?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an adjective. Okay. Squishy Mud Band.
Wrong finger.
Thank you.
I'm kidding.
Squishy Mud Band. Can't wait to see what they got next. Thanks, guys.
Yep, you bet.